Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mini Books Podcast with your host Gloria and Rogan, and today we are excited to dive into Special Book with You. We picked this one because it has really important lessons to share and we can't wait to talk about them. So let's get started.
Let's dive into mental strength today. It's something we all need, no matter what.
Absolutely.
And today we're talking about 13 things mentally strong people don't do by Amy Morin.
And you know what's really interesting about this book is that Morin, she's not just speaking from some theoretical perspective. She's a therapist, and she's faced some incredibly challenging things in her own life.
Right.
She lost her mother at a young age, and then later her husband, and then even later her partner.
Wow.
So she's really been through the ringer.
Yeah, she's walked the walk.
She has.
It's not just talk.
Exactly.
So we're not just summarizing chapters. We're going to really extract the golden nuggets here today, the advice that you can actually use.
Yeah, the actionable takeaways.
Okay.
The relatable stories, the research that she brings in.
Because I am all about, you know me, I like those chapter titles that are kind of like a punch in the gut. And she doesn't disappoint.
She does not.
Some of these are really good.
They're very direct.
Yeah.
Like that first one, don't feel sorry for yourself, problem solve.
Right.
Sounds simple enough.
Oh, it's so easy to get stuck when the woe is me, though.
It is.
But she says that's the worst thing you can do.
It keeps you stuck.
Yeah.
Keeps you stuck.
Okay, so don't feel sorry for yourself. Problem solve.
Yes.
And she illustrates this with a personal anecdote,
Yeah.
which I think is one of the reasons I love her and this book so much.
Just what makes it so relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after her husband's death, she dreaded his birthday because she's like, everybody's just going to be like, ah, you know, drowning their sorrows in Kleenex.
It's that natural instinct to want to avoid pain. Right.
But her mother-in-law had a different idea.
She did.
Tell me she threw a big party.
Well, not a party, but she planned a fun activity
Okay.
as a way to honor his memory, but to choose action over despair.
I love that. Okay.
And that's what Morin emphasizes in this book, is it's not about ignoring those negative emotions.
Right.
It's about acknowledging them, allowing yourself to grieve, to feel frustrated, but then shifting your energy towards problem solving,
Okay.
towards finding those silver linings.
So how do you do that? Because, I mean, that's...
How do you find the silver lining?
Yeah, when you're in it. Yeah.
It's about shifting your perspective.
Yeah.
And one strategy she talks about is gratitude.
Okay.
There is a study, this was back in 2003, that found that just taking time each day to acknowledge things you're grateful for can significantly impact your well-being. So it's about training your brain to focus on the good, even when things are tough.
Okay, so instead of dwelling on what's wrong, you're looking for what's right.
Exactly. And to further illustrate this idea of reframing, she shares this phenomenal story about Marla Runyon.
Okay.
Do you know who Marla Runyon is?
I don't think so.
She was the first legally blind athlete to compete in the Olympics.
Wait, she ran in the Olympics?
Yes.
And she was legally blind?
Yes.
Wow, that's incredible.
And she uses her story to highlight how we all have a choice in how we perceive our challenges.
Okay.
Runyon actually credits her blindness with giving her the determination and focus to succeed.
Wow, that is incredible. And it's so powerful because it really highlights something, I think it's called cognitive reframing, where you're taking a thought that isn't serving you and you're reframing it. So you can actually train your brain to do this. Okay, so I'm starting to see how this ties into mental strength. Did she have any other examples of that?
Oh, tons. And a lot of her advice
Mm-hmm.
is grounded in these stories from her therapy clients, which I think makes it so relatable.
Yeah.
For example, she talks about this woman named Lauren, who was struggling in her marriage because of her mother-in-law.
Ooh, setting boundaries with in-laws. That can be tough.
It can be tricky.
So what was going on?
Well, she believed that being a good wife meant constantly catering to her mother-in-law,
Mhm.
who was constantly at their house, undermining her parenting decisions. And it was just creating so much stress in her life.
Oh, man, that sounds stressful.
It-
And I think we've all been there.
We have.
Where it's like sometimes the people closest to us are the ones that push our buttons the most
They are.
because we let them.
And Morin talks about this, how Lauren's attempts to be nice were actually backfiring. And it was leaving her feeling resentful and powerless in
Wow.
her own home.
It's so true.
And this brings us to that second thing that mentally strong people don't do. Don't give away your power, set boundaries.
It's like she's letting the mother-in-law walk all over her.
Yeah, and it was really draining her.
So did she give her like magical tips to deal with her mother-in-law?
Well, they worked through it in therapy. And Maureen helped Lauren see that setting boundaries. It wasn't about being mean or disrespectful,
Right.
but about protecting her own well-being and the well-being of her family.
Yeah, I like that. You can't pour from an empty cup kind of thing.
Exactly.
And setting boundaries takes courage, though.
Which kind of leads me to this next story that I loved, Stephen McDonald.
Oh, wow, yes.
What an incredible story of refusing to give away your power.
For sure.
So for anyone who doesn't know, he was a New York City police officer
Yeah.
who was shot and paralyzed in the line of duty.
It was a horrific incident.
You would expect anger,
Yeah.
bitterness, resentment,
Absolutely.
all the things.
Rightfully so. But
Yeah.
this is where his story becomes a true testament to mental strength.
Okay.
Because despite being paralyzed
Mm-hmm.
and enduring years of intense physical therapy, he chose forgiveness over bitterness.
Forgiveness. It's one thing to, like, forgive somebody for, like, I don't know, cutting you off in traffic.
Right.
This is a whole other level.
I mean, talk about somebody who walked the walk.
He did.
And what's so incredible is that he didn't just survive. He transformed that
And
experience.
he did.
And he became an advocate for peace and forgiveness later in life.
Yeah, which I think speaks to that point that Maureen keeps making, that while we can't always control what happens to us, we have immense power over how we respond.
It's really about choosing. Okay, so we've talked about not feeling sorry for ourselves and setting boundaries. What's the next one?
Okay, this one might be a little uncomfortable.
Okay.
It's don't shy away from change. Embrace discomfort.
Embrace
I
discomfort.
know, right?
My anxiety is through the roof.
Mine too.
Why is change so hard, though?
Well, because as humans, on a primal level, we crave comfort
Right.
and
Yeah.
familiarity.
It's cozy in our comfort zone.
It is.
Yeah.
And change kind of throws that all out the window.
It's true. And it's like
Mhm.
our brains like those grooves,
They do.
even if they're not serving us.
Exactly.
Right.
And so to illustrate this point, she talks about this client that she had named Richard,
Okay.
who knew that he needed to make some healthier lifestyle choices. He even joined a gym,
Okay, that's a good first step.
but he was trying to do too much too soon.
Oh, yeah.
He wanted to overhaul his entire life overnight.
Oh, this is the kiss of death right there.
And then when he would inevitably slip up,
Because he would.
of course, he would just
Run.
beat himself up.
Yeah.
He'd say, this is too hard, and he would give up entirely.
It's so easy to fall into that all or nothing trap.
It is.
Yeah.
And she really stresses that. Lasting change happens in those small, consistent steps, not those giant leaps.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Okay, well, how do you become more of a change embracer then?
Well, she uses this great example of this woman, Mary Deming.
Okay.
Have you heard of her?
I don't think so.
Okay, so Mary, this is one of those stories that just lights me up every time I hear it.
Oh, I love that. Okay, tell me more.
So Mary lost her mother to breast cancer when she was only 18.
Oh, wow.
And then later in life, her father passed away from cancer as well.
Oh, my gosh.
And she buried herself in activity to avoid confronting her grief. Until one day, at age 50,
50.
she decided to make a change.
Okay.
And not just a small change. Mary decided to bike across the country
Across the entire country.
in honor of her parents. And she raised money for cancer research along the way.
Oh, wow. Talk about embracing discomfort.
Right.
Riding a bike across the country.
But it doesn't stop there. The bike ride was just the catalyst.
Okay.
That act of courage sparked a chain reaction.
Good.
She started her own nonprofit
Wow.
called Seymour Pink, named after her hometown in Connecticut.
Oh, cool.
And so every October, they decorate the entire town pink
Oh,
for Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
that's amazing.
They've raised almost $500,000 for cancer-related causes, and they provide direct financial support to families battling cancer.
So she's turned her personal loss into something so positive that's impacting so many people.
It's incredible.
That's incredible.
And it shows how embracing change, even when it stems from pain, can create these incredible ripple effects.
It can. So change can be scary,
Mhm.
but it's often that catalyst for growth, innovation, healing all the things. Okay, so we've talked about facing our fears, setting boundaries, embracing change. What about when you're putting in the work, but you're not seeing the results?
Oh, yeah.
Or it feels like they're happening at a snail's pace?
That's where this next one comes in.
Okay.
Don't expect immediate results.
If only we live in an I need it now culture.
We do instant downloads, overnight shipping.
5-minute meals.
All of it.
Patience is definitely a virtue that's fading.
It really is.
Yeah.
And this is affecting our mental well-being. Morin uses an example of a client named Marcy,
Okay.
who started therapy expecting a quick fix for her unhappiness.
We've all been there. Like, if only it was that easy.
I know, just wave a magic wand.
Right.
But she had to be upfront with Marcy
Yep.
and explain that therapy is a process. It takes time and consistent effort to see lasting change.
Like anything.
Exactly.
Like medication.
And this is a hard truth for many of us to swallow.
Yeah.
We want that instant gratification.
Right.
And to highlight just how much our patience has dwindled, she talks about New Year's resolutions.
Oh, yeah.
Remember those?
Vaguely.
So back in 1972, a study found that 25% of people gave up on their resolutions after about 15 weeks.
15 weeks, that's like almost 4 months.
It's a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
But fast forward to 1989, and that same 25% were throwing in the towel after just 1 week.
A week.
1 week.
Wow.
That's it.
Okay, so that just shows you how...
Our attention span.
Yeah, we're like, what? I'm over it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this impatience, this I want it now mentality, can really sabotage our efforts to create lasting change, whether it's in our health, our relationships, our careers. True growth takes time.
So how do you combat that, the instant gratification monster?
Well, Morin emphasizes the importance of setting realistic expectations
Okay.
and celebrating those small victories.
Yes.
Because she says it's not about, this big end goal all the time.
Right.
It's about acknowledging those small steps forward.
And celebrating those mini wins.
Exactly.
Instead of just being like, I'm not there yet.
Yeah. It's about shifting your focus from the destination to the journey itself.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's about finding joy in the process because it's going to be messy.
It is.
It's not always going to be perfect.
It's not about being perfect. It's about being kind to yourself along the way.
And that's what I love about this book, is it's like she's giving you permission to be human.
Yeah.
To not be perfect.
It's not about being superhuman.
Yeah.
Or never experiencing negative emotions.
Because we're all going to feel them.
We will.
It's how you deal with them.
Exactly. It's about learning how to navigate those challenges in healthy ways.
Yeah, and treating ourselves with kindness.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire process.
Absolutely.
So, which leads us to, how do we maintain this mental strength for the long haul?
Yes. It can be tricky because that initial burst of motivation can be, it can fade.
Oh, it definitely does.
Yeah. Oh. But she offers some practical strategies for staying the course.
I'm all ears because I struggle with that.
I do too.
Okay.
One thing she says is focus on what you can control.
Okay.
Because we can't magically make all of our problems disappear.
I wish, right?
But we can control how we respond to those challenges.
Right.
It's about making choices that align with our values, even when it's hard.
That reminds me of that. I think it's called the Serenity Prayer.
Oh, yeah.
Accept the things you cannot change.
Yeah.
The courage to change the things you can.
Yeah.
And the wisdom to know the difference.
Exactly.
It's like so simple, but so profound.
It's a good framework
Yeah.
for navigating life's ups and downs.
It is.
And it made me think about another point she makes, about being really intentional, about how we spend our time and energy.
Okay, so less scrolling on social media.
Less of that.
More living.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe it's saying no to commitments that drain us, setting boundaries with toxic people, or just creating more space for things that light us up.
That's where self-care comes in.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is not selfish. It's essential.
It is.
You've got to take care of yourself
Yeah.
so you can show up as your best self
That's right.
for everyone else.
So it's not just about pushing through discomfort,
Yeah.
but also knowing when to rest
Yes.
and recharge.
It's that balance between pushing ourselves and showing ourselves compassion.
It's so interesting because this whole conversation, I mean, the book in itself, it's really such a simple yet profound message,
It is.
Because it's not about being some superhuman
Right.
who never experiences any hardship or negative emotion.
It's about developing those inner resources, those
Yeah.
coping skills, that unwavering self-belief.
that allow you to navigate all of it.
Exactly.
Okay.
You already have everything you need.
And I think we forget that sometimes.
I think we do too.
Because we're always looking for, what's the magic pill?
That quick fix.
Yeah.
But it's really about cultivating what's already there.
Yes.
And this has just been...
This has been such a great deep dive.
It has.
And I hope you're walking away feeling empowered to, take control of your mental game.
Remember, you don't have to do it alone.
That's right.
Reach out to friends, family, a therapist.
We're all in this together.
We are.
This deep dive into 13 things mentally strong people don't do has been amazing. And I hope you've gained some valuable tools and strategies to put these principles into practice in your own life. Remember, building mental strength is a journey, not a destination. It's a lifelong process of growth, resilience, and self-discovery. And the best part is, we already have everything we need within us to embark on this transformative journey.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to dive into more book insights and key learnings, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Mini Books Podcast, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. We're back every Sunday at 9 a.m. with new books and more to learn from. Until next time, take care, keep learning, and keep growing. Remember, this is Mini Books Podcast.